punches.
So that is our main event. And again, we've set it up for you. We've got it on a nice table there for you. Now you're going to go ahead and eat it up and enjoy it. This could be, again, the fight of the year. It was in 2010. And now, making his way into the ring is Iron Boy, Ivan Calderon, who's coming to Mexico looking to get his title back. And of course, Ivan Calderon saying, you know what? I know Mexicans do not like my style of fighting. That is to be elusive, to be a boxer and box and box and box. But that's my style. And because that's my style, that's what I'm going to use in this particular fight.
And all you need to know about this man to impress you is that he won the WBO minimum weight title in 2003, then would step up in weight to win another title. And all told, was a champion for 7 years with 18 title defenses. Those are some stats worth noting.
From Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, works for the recreation department in Guaynabo.
Altamirano Guerrero.
Now the music for the entrance from the man from Altamirano, Ciudad Altamirano, Giovani Segura. And he has the WBO light flyweight as well as the WBA light flyweight title. He won that when he beat Juanito Rubilar. And he took a fight after the Calderon fight. He took on Manuel Vargas, and he stopped him in the 7th round. And again, we mentioned the weight on that one, 113 pounds for that fight. Back down to 108 pounds for this one. Calderon weighed in at 107. And now, let's talk about this. Now, Javier Capetillo is going to be in his corner. So he is someone he is very comfortable with and has been with him throughout his career. So Capetillo will be in his corner.
And remember, he wasn't there in Puerto Rico. Capetillo, just to recap, the man who was suspended and really not allowed to work at all in the future in fights in the United States or Puerto Rico because of the alleged, and more than alleged actually, enhancing of the gloves of Antonio Margarito. And so to have him here for this fighter is really important.
And of course, that's why the Miguel Cotto is a much anticipated fight between Margarito, to see how he fares this time without the alleged bandages, I mean the wrappings of that.
Yeah, and we're saying alleged, but in reality, it certainly was decided to be the case, and that's why the suspension of Margarito for a year and Capetillo being banned from fights in the U.S. and Puerto Rico. In any case, that's a side issue. What's important is how this man is going to respond, and there's Margarito, who we talked about, giving him some support.
And you saw right behind him was Capetillo. Also in the corner there will be the Mota brothers, Arturo Mota, Richard Mota, and Daniel Mota. Segura, this, you can't help but not to like this guy. Number one, he's a warrior, but he's also a very humble guy. Very humble guy, very respectful of the sport. And I think that's a great point to make about him. Very respectful of the sport. He understands the history of it. He's a history buff when it comes to boxing. You can ask him about any fighter there is. He's going to tell you about them. So a delightful young man is Giovani Segura at the age of 29. But this man, Ivan Calderon, has made his own history in the boxing ring. And this is a guy that's going to be remembered as really one of the slickest fighters you're ever going to see. And a guy, again, that's captured 2 world titles as a light flyweight and minimum weight.
Damas y caballeros, su atención, por favor, favor de ponerse de pie para escuchar los himnos nacionales. First, ladies and gentlemen, we present the national anthem of Mexico. Primero, el himno nacional de México. Demos la bienvenida a Jerry de Mara.
Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Ciña patria tus sienes de oliva, de la paz el arcángel divino, que en el cielo tu eterno destino por el dedo de Dios escribió. Vas a osar un extraño enemigo, profanar con su planta tu cielo. Piensa, oh patria querida, que el cielo un soldado en cada hijo te dio, un soldado en cada hijo te dio. Mexicanos al grito de guerra, el acero apresta y el bridón, y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. Y retiembla en sus centros la tierra al sonoro rugir del cañón. ¡Viva México!
And the ovation here in the Auditorio del Estado Mexicali.
Gentlemen, we present the national anthem of Puerto Rico, La Borinqueña. Please welcome el cantante popular, the new Puerto Rican sensation from Sony Records, introducing Cristian Daniel.
La tierra de Borinquen, donde he nacido yo, es un jardín florido de mágico primor, un cielo siempre nítido le sirve de dosel y dan arrullos plácidos las olas a sus pies. Cuando a sus playas llegó Colón, exclamó lleno de admiración: oh, oh, esa es la linda tierra que busco yo. Es Borinquen la hija del mar y el sol, 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 del mar y el sol.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mexicali for the featured bout of the evening, La Revancha 2, brought to you by Zanfer Promotions, PR Best Boxing, el 20 Ayuntamiento de Mexicali y Tecate, cerveza con carácter. Damas y caballeros, bienvenidos aficionados al box por la pelea principal de la noche. 12 asaltos por el Campeonato Mundial Peso Mini Mosca de la OMB. This bout is sanctioned by the WBO. The president is Francisco Valcárcel and the supervisor Alberto Rodriguez Perez. Introducing to you our judges scoring from ringside, presentando a los jueces. From Avon, Connecticut in the United States, Glenn Feldman. From La República Dominicana, Rafael Inseña. And from La Paz, Baja California, Mexico, Alfredo Polanco. And the referee in charge, presentando al referee Samuel Viruet. Bien, amigos, esta es la pelea estelar de la noche. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO Junior Flyweight Championship of the World. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world on Integrated Sports Pay-Per-View, live from Mexicali en vivo, desde Mexicali, Baja California, Mexico. It's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing to you first, the challenger, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing silver trunks with gold trim. He weighed in at 107 3/4 pounds. Presentando al retador en la esquina azul, pesando 107 libras y 3/4. His record, 34 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 6 wins coming by way of knockout. Tiene un récord de 34 victorias, 1 derrota y 1 empate, con 6 ganadas por la vía del knockout. Clasificado número 3 de la OMB, currently ranked the number 3 contender. Here is the longtime former WBO middleweight world champion and the former WBO junior flyweight champion of the world from Guaynabo, Puerto Rico, el Niño de Hierro, Ivan Iron Boy Calderon. And his opponent across the ring, the defending world champion, fighting out of the red corner, wearing brown trunks. He weighed in at 107 3/4 pounds. Y su rival, el campeón en la esquina roja, con un peso de 107 libras y 3/4. His outstanding record includes 26 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw, with 22 wins coming by way of knockout. Con un récord de 26 victorias, 1 derrota y 1 empate, tiene 22 ganadas por knockout. De Altamirano, Guerrero, Mexico, here is the 2-time world champion and the current WBO Junior Flyweight Champion of the World. Aquí está el campeón, el Guerrero Azteca, Giovani Segura.
And there you have it, our 2 combatants. And now they will meet with referee Sam Viruet, who resides in New Jersey. Samuel Viruet, as he brings him now to the center of the ring. Again, Francisco Paco Valcarcel, the man in charge of the WBO.
Pero que sigan las instrucciones, obedezcan las leyes, ¿ok? Los pantalones aquí están bien, protéjanse a todo tiempo, buena suerte, peleen duro, peleen limpio. God bless.
The much anticipated La Revancha 2 is on.
And you can see the big edge in height. There's an edge in reach for Segura. He's the younger fighter. All those numbers favor him. What Ivan Calderon has going for him is the fact that he is a superb boxer and has been a world champion for a long, long time.
So Calderon talked about his experience, and he's going to have to draw on all of that against this relentless man, Giovani Segura.
And remember, Segura said, I'm going to go for a knockout right from the get-go.
And here we have the La Revancha, number 2, the rematch of the fight of the year in 2010. Giovani Segura, he has on the very distinctive wear, whereas Ivan Calderon is dressed in white, or it's kind of a silverish white. And right away you hear Mexico, Mexico. And you can see right away, Al, how much bigger Giovani Segura is.
He's going to be jumping up in weight right after this fight. He's just physically a bigger guy than Calderon. Calderon is by far the slicker boxer, certainly the better technician, but Segura is just relentless in his pressure.
And that's where Calderon needs to fight, in the middle of the ring there, Al, not get tied up in the ropes like he allowed Segura to do to him in their first battle. You see Calderon right away, he's on his bicycle. He wants to stick and move, stick and move.
Obviously does not want to fight off those ropes, and there he holds. That's going to be a frequent tactic of Calderon. Instead of fighting on the inside, he wants to hold, get Samuel Viruet to break them, then move.
And that's something with Segura. There's no way to frustrate this guy. This guy's relentless. He's going to do whatever it takes. That's a slip. Sam Viruet right on top of that. Calderon, again, who said my leg work for this particular fight is so much better than for the first one. I was able to run. I was able to do my cardiovascular training. And I am going to tap on all that for this particular fight.
Calderon trying to establish the jab and has done that to some extent here. There's the difference in this fight. Holding immediate. Now he may start to get a warning and maybe even a point deducted if he's too blatant in that holding.
But he can do that until that happens, and
Yes.
I think that's going to be his plan.
Absolutely.
He works with Felix Pagan Pintor, his trainer, also Jose Sanchez, and they've added Miguel Diaz now as a cut man for Ivan Calderon.
And Miguel, a great man to have in your corner under any circumstances. Segura himself has landed some pretty good jabs, and there he's thrown those wild right hooks.
But that's a 6-inch reach advantage for Segura.
Calderon has generally had a pretty good first round here, even though Segura's had his moments as well. There's the stiff jab of Calderon.
And moving while he's throwing that stiff jab. Low shot right there by Segura. And you see right there, Sam Viruet warning him. See that jab of Segura starts from down low there, Al. Makes it really hard to see.
Right there, Calderon almost got hooked into a slugging contest, but was able to escape it.
So the first round is in the books, and I'm going to go with Ivan Calderon.
Yeah, close round, but probably one in which he won.
I thought he was more accurate, and I thought he was effective in the way he was hitting and moving. Whereas Segura, on the other hand, was trying to set up for that big shot. You mentioned he wanted a knockout right off the bat, and he appeared to be looking for it. We are in the Auditorio del Estado Mexicali, Baja California. A great sports down here. Some of the action, round number one.
The right hook landing by Calderon. He doesn't want to throw too many of those because he'll get in a right hooking contest with Segura, and there Segura comes with his right away also. Segura, an off-balance fighter. He was not a textbook fighter, but clearly he's effective with what he does. And on the inside there, Segura's looking for the big punch, and Calderon just a little bit more precise.
Javier Capetillo shouting the instructions to Segura as he steps up, and we are ready for round number two of La Revancha 2, the rematch of the fight of the year in 2010. Giovani Segura with the distinctive trunks taking on Ivan Calderon. Calderon coming to Mexico to try to get his title back.
The difference also is Calderon in this fight, and you did that first fight, is jabbing more, double jabbing more. It's good body work by Segura, and of course that's what hurt Calderon badly in the last fight.
And you see now Segura, he's willing to pay the price, Al.
Yeah.
He's willing to come in and say, you know what, hit me, but I'm going to land my shot.
You know, another good body shot by Segura, and Calderon coming back. Segura said, you know, it's a misnomer to think Calderon can't punch at all. He said, he hurt me with a couple of shots. I just was able to walk through them.
Now another tactic by Calderon that might be effective is to make himself shorter. Make Segura go looking for him down below.
Yeah, and Segura, of course, will still look for those body shots, and some getting a little bit low from the waistline.
Two fighters that know each other very, very well. A heck of a go at it in 8 rounds, stepping on each other's feet right there. A different Ivan Calderon in this fight. He is not planting himself on the ropes. He is moving.
And the question will be whether he can do it over the course of a 12-round fight, and whether Segura will catch him with something that will change all that. Segura's still committing to doing body work. Well, that went way low by Segura, but, you know, c'est la vie is the way he looks at it. A lot of good exchanges by both fighters. It's like we picked up in round 13, isn't it?
It is. Sam Viruet, warning right there, Segura, by leading with the head.
He's got his hands full. The jab of Calderon is superb in this fight, but Segura's has not been bad either.
Where Segura's jab is a bit unorthodox as it comes
Yes.
down low. From down low on up. The thing with Segura is, you know, flat out will tell you, I'm not the fastest, I'm not the best, but I am going to get there. And eventually by the end of the fight, I'm going to find my way to go ahead and get to you at some point.
Good body work.
Now, here we go. Here comes the warning. And the crowd does not like it. Sam Viruet right on top of that. And you mentioned now he was going to do that until he gets a warning. He's got the warning.
What would be unfortunate is if it prevents Segura from still going to the body. He's got to be careful, but he can't abandon that attack. Oh, there's another low blow by Segura.
He's not going to abandon that attack. This is what he knows to do. This is what he's been trained to do, and he's comfortable.
Switching to righty is Segura and landing a big jab in the process. These two cannot make a bad fight. And this first, even though Calderon's been boxing more, these first 2 rounds have still been interesting and scintillating. Very good round.
A very good round, but who do you go with?
I might lean toward Calderon again, but it was a very close round.
So far, I've got 2 rounds for Ivan Calderon.
And let me say something about this fight. A fight I did recently, Miguel Acosta and Brandon Rios. In which Miguel Acosta controlled all the first 5-6 rounds of the fight. But then Brandon Rios' power ultimately took over, and he was able to win that fight by knockout. Many have suggested they could easily see this fight going the same way. We'll have to see. Of course, we're going to find out as the fight progresses.
But interesting to the way Sam Viruet got in here right away, but already put the warning about the low shot. There's a shot.
And that was the one of the low blows I think that he was referring to. The right hook getting in by Calderon, but he doesn't want to stand there and exchange with his opponent. And Segura, that one's right on the belt line. So it's very, very close, but Sam Viruet saying, no, careful of those low blows.
And this is round number 3 of a scheduled 12-round main event. Giovani Segura taking on Ivan Calderon. Segura, the champion. Calderon, the former champion, coming to Mexico looking for his title and trying to take it back to Puerto Rico. One of the things interesting the second round, Al, that Calderon did switch to a right-hander.
Yeah, that was Segura, you mean, yeah. And it was interesting. We hadn't seen that so much from him in the past. And it worked when he did it.
But again, he's very adept. I don't think he slows down one bit when he switches from left or right. There's that sharp jab by Calderon. He's working behind that.
You know, the big advantage Segura has in this fight is that he can afford to come in and absorb some punches because he doesn't think Calderon is ultimately going to hurt him.
But again, also, we made the point about the weight. Did the losing of the weight debilitate Segura enough? Now look at him.
Here's Calderon against the ropes, getting hit with body punches. That's not what he wants. And he was hit with a good right hook, too. This is the posture that cost him in the last fight. And he's standing on the ropes again.
And Al, this is about the time when he started doing it in the first fight.
Big bombs landing by Segura, and I think Calderon's a little hurt right now. Low blow again by Segura.
And that answers your question. Is that going to deter him? Absolutely not. And now he's mixing it up, going up top with it. Those are low blows. But then he took, one was low and the other one right on the chin.
That's an official knockdown.
So I think you called it on the button there, Al, where it was just a matter of time when he was going to force his will, and that's it. There you have it. Giovani Segura retains his WBO light flyweight title as Ivan Calderon gave it a heck of a go. He got on his bicycle, he tried to move, he tried to jab, he tried to elude Giovani Segura, but again, like a hurricane coming out a screen door, he had no chance whatsoever. As Segura reached him, and when he reached him, he inflicted a great deal of damage. And Ivan Calderon, the proud champion, 36 years of age, he has just met a young man that for his particular style has the answer for it.
Well, and he's a big, powerful fighter who is kind of freakish in that he can be at this weight and still be so big. And so for Segura, he cements this title, and now we'll look to bigger game at the 112-pound division and maybe the 115-pound weight class. But for Ivan Calderon, it is a bitter pill, and it may signal the end of his career. We don't know certainly, but at this juncture, a very tough loss for him. He did his best. You made the point. he fought the right fight for as long as he could fight it over those first 2.5 rounds till Segura got to him.
Now, when we talk about Segura, he goes up to the flyweight. The name that looms out there, Luis Concepcion, the Panamanian, that would make an awesome fight at 112 pounds.
Yeah, it's a great potential fight, and there are a lot of good 112-pounders. And what he's going to find, though, once he gets up in weight, some of these deficiencies he has in terms of his style may start to affect him. But right now, he's not thinking about that. He is just bathing in the adulation of this crowd, and what a special moment for this young man. Going to Puerto Rico, winning that title, now getting a chance to defend it in front of his home crowd.
Undaunted by any challenge put before him, Giovani Segura. Seguro in Spanish means a man very much assured of himself, and there he was.
And here you'll see the body work that he did. Some a little low, but most are legal. And that right hook to the body, is the one that really started the problem for Calderon. Calderon admitted leading into this fight, he said, the punches that hurt me the most were the body punches by Segura.
And almost in the same way that he dropped in the first fight is the way he drops in this particular fight.
Very similar.
Ends up taking a knee right there. Sam Viruet comes in there, and he was not even going to take the count. This was over.
That right hand to the body was just too much for him, and a right hook to the head as he was going down.
Damas y caballeros, tenemos el tiempo, 1 minuto, 39 segundos en el tercer round. Ladies and gentlemen, with the time of 1 minute 39 seconds in round number 3, he is the winner by way of knockout, el ganador por knockout, and still the WBO Junior Flyweight Champion of the world, el Guerrero Azteca, Giovani Segura.
And there you have it, the official time, 1 minute 39 seconds of the third round. Giovani Segura retains his title, but now Ivan Calderon goes back to Puerto Rico. And now let me give you another scenario right there, though. What happens if Segura goes up? If he goes up, then, I mean, would you want Ivan to stay?
Well, Ivan Calderon does not have to retire. He's still a very effective fighter. And if, in fact, Segura moves up in weight, probably the majority of 108-pounders Ivan Calderon could still beat. So there's certainly there's no law that says he has to retire at this point. He just can't beat this man.
So we're going to see if we can translate the interview here with Giovani Segura. If we can get here again, some of the action here, Al.
Yeah, we see it again. The body work by Segura was so effective, and here comes the right that would really do the damage. That one, he got so much leverage on it, and Calderon had positioned himself against the ropes to take the brunt of that punch, where he had not been over the first 2 rounds, and that was really what did him in. And Segura knew he went for the body right from the beginning. He knew those were the punches that would hurt Calderon the most.
Just relentless, Giovani Segura, heavy-handed fighter. But again, you could see the way he's throwing those shots out, that his head is open.
Oh, he has issues, but let's listen in.
This is the way I came to the United States.
Se quedan aquí en Mexicali para ustedes y gracias a todos.
I'm going to leave my gloves here in Mexicali. Thank you to all of you.
A Mexicali y a Giovani Segura, señores.
And because yesterday was his birthday, and he said, I want to wish Mexicali and myself a happy birthday. They're looking for the gloves right now. He's going to present that to the city of Mexicali.
What a homecoming for him.
And they're asking the mayor of Mexicali to step up to the ring so he could be presented the gloves. For these gloves to think he came through the sewage system of Mexicali to make his way into the United States. And now at the age of 29, he defends his WBO title against the former champion, Ivan Calderon. Giovani Segura, he may not be the most technically sound fighter, but he may be the most relentless fighter in the world. And nothing is going to go ahead and stop him.